Algebra 2 Trig Unit, the study guide, numbers 22 and 23. So in these problems, you're going to look at which case you have and then decide if you're going to use the law of sines or law of cosines to solve the triangles. So if we look at what we're given, just around the triangle, we know this side, and then we know an angle and another side. So that's case number 3, side, angle, side. The important part of knowing that is that to solve, you can use the law of cosines. So we need to solve the triangles, so that means we're going to find everything that we're missing. So we're missing side C, and I make a list ahead of time so that I know when I'm finished. We're looking for angle A, and we're looking for angle B. And I'm just going to place that in a box, and then as we solve, we will fill in the values. So let's start with side C. So using the law of cosines, it goes the side squared equals, and then the other two sides squared, so 20 squared plus 22 squared minus 2 times those two sides, and then times the cosine of the angle, cosine of 95. Now grab your calculator, make sure that you are in degree mode, and type that in as you see it. You should get 960, 0.69, and some other digits. Now I'm going to use these three dots, the ellipse, to indicate that I am not going to round. I'm going to leave that entire answer into my calculator, and then I'm going to take the square root of it. When I do that, and then we round to ones place, we'll get 31. So now we know that the length of side C is 31. We need to find one of the other angles, so I'm going to look for angle A. So I'm going to use the form of the law of cosines that begins with side A, which is 22. So it'll be 22 squared equals my other two sides squared, which is 20 squared, and now we now know 31 squared, minus 2 times those single lengths, and then times the cosine of the corresponding angle with side A, and that's what we're trying to find. So, as I explained before in the notes, I like to just subtract my squared values over, and then I'm going to divide by that product here. So then I'm going to divide each side by negative 2 times 20 times 31. So when I key into my calculator, I key in my numerator first and press enter, and then I say divide by, and I put those values in a parentheses. So then I get that the cosine of angle A is a value. Um, 0.707 and some other digits. Now, use your inverse cosine, so that's second, and then your cosine key, and it's this one. Pull back that answer that you have in your calculator, and then angle A is, you can see if we round, 45 degrees. Now to find angle B, we know two angles of the triangle, so we're just going to use the simple way to find the third angle and take 180 and then subtract the two angles that we know. So 45, and we were given that angle C was 95. So angle B will be 40 degrees. Then I always do a check just to make sure the smallest side should always be across from the smallest angle, and the largest side across from the largest angle. So my smallest side is 20, and that's across from angle B, and that is my smallest angle of 40. And then side A is 22, and that's my next largest side, and it's across from my next largest angle of 45. And then side C I found is 31, and that's the largest side, and it's across from the largest angle. Now let's look at number 23. So 23, we look at what we know on the triangle, and I'm just going to look in order, and I know a side and an angle and another side. So that again is case 3, and we can use the law of cosines. So I'm going to list what I'm looking for, which is angle B and angle C and side A. And I'm going to list that. And then I'll just put a little box around it, and I know when I have found all those things that I have solved the triangle. So I'm going to start with side A. I'm going to use the form of law of cosines that starts with side A, and then I fill in my other two sides, square them, so 24 squared plus 30 squared, minus 2 times those side lengths multiplied, times the cosine of my angle, and my angle is 130. Alright, key that in your calculator and you'll get 2,401.61 and some other digits. Leave those digits in your calculator and then take the square root. So side A, if we round to ones place, will be 49. Now let's continue to use the law of cosines, and let's look for angle B. So the side across from angle B is the length of 24. So I'll say 24 squared equals, and then I use my other two side lengths, which is 30 squared, and then the one that I just found, 49 squared, minus 2 times those two lengths, and then times the cosine of the angle I'm looking for, which is angle B. So I'm going to subtract my squareds over, and then I'm going to divide by -2 times 30 times 49. And that should give me the cosine of angle B. So in your calculator, you should get about 0.9268 and some digits. And then use your inverse cosine button to find the angle. So if we round to ones place, we'll get 22 degrees. Okay, so we have found angle B. Now to find angle C, we can just simply subtract the two angles that we know now from 180 degrees. So we'll subtract the angle we just found, which is 22, and 130 degrees, and we'll be left with 28 degrees. And then you can do that same check. Just make sure that the smallest side is across from the smallest angle, and so on.